Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's YBP Gang, YBP Nation, YBP Boxing, YBP MMA. Come at y'all with the post-fight talk, recap of this historic card at UFC 316. I think I might just talk about the main card. It was an amazing card from to back, though. Really, I feel like over-delivered. You know, we saw a lot of good finishes across the card. I won't lie, I wasn't too hyped for this card. I wasn't, following. I think this is the first time in a while that I missed a press conference. So I was starting to, really question. Part of that is because I have been binge watching, keeping up with Love Island. It's like a new show I'm, really into nowadays. And that was going on. But usually if I have something like that going on, UFC usually overrides it. But I just wasn't hyped for the MERAB O'Malley. We had already seen the fight before. I thought MERAB's performance, prior was pretty dominant. And then in the co-main event, we got Pena. Honestly, I was more excited for that fight than the main event. You had a new storyline. Can Kayla Harrison go 5 rounds? Can she, use her submission skills against someone as tough as Juliana Pena? And, we saw, obviously, what she did. Went out there and subbed her. But I just wasn't that excited, from a storyline standpoint. And I think that's such a big part. I think people get too wrapped up into the results of, obviously, I feel like results in the UFC matter in the context of next fights and building fights and, how they relate to that stuff. But the biggest thing that makes, what the WWE special, everything else special, other sports, is getting people inside the door. No matter whatever you thought about Mayweather and Pacquiao, the build and everything that happened prior got people through the door so that, a fight like that, even if it was boring, you already paid your ticket. You already bought pay-per-view. So it's about building hype, and I wasn't hyped for this. O'Malley, not a big trash talker, nothing of that nature, and you saw that. MERAB is honestly more of a personality than him. So it's just one of those things. But talking about the fight, I might have to turn this down a little bit, but yeah, kind of building off what Daniel Cormier is saying when he's talking about. Sean O'Malley going out there and, kind of just relying on, hey, I stopped smoking weed. I stopped, doing stuff down there. You know what I mean? Just giving up bad habits, spending more time with family. You can't rest on that to, completely change the outlook of a fight. You got to go out there and you actually have to work on the takedown defense. And he did do that. We did see improved takedown defense in this fight. So credit to him. But with MERAB, it's always about, okay, sure. Can you defend takedowns 1, 2, and 3? That's cool, but can you defend 4, 5, 6? It's such an anomaly. It's such a steep mountain that Sean O'Malley had to climb, especially with this being a rematch. It's not just this being the initial matchup. Now you're dealing with, he already saw how good you were. He already saw your best stuff, and it's one of those things where it's like everyone was like, oh, he was injured in that fight, blah blah blah. Now he's gonna come back better. People just fail to account for that, someone who has won the fight, they're going to have more confidence going into the rematch. There's not going to be that uncertainty. There's going to be that familiarity from your opponent, and you're going to have more time, more tape to work with, and your opponent's actually going to get better. So not only have they won the first fight, but now they have all that other stuff to compound, making it even more dominant victory. And that's what you saw today. MERAB now got his first submission victory after her second submission victory. First choke in the UFC. So just an amazing victory. Again, I'd like to give O'Malley credit for the improved takedown defense. That was really good to see out of him. But again, honestly, he was getting beat on the feet. That's something that we saw. Contrast that with someone like JDM. His takedown defense, him being worried about the takedown, didn't deter him from his improved striking. He still went out there and boxed the hell out of and Bilal. But MERAB, he was able to mix in the strikes. His hooks looked really razor fast. He was able to dart into range, not being worried about the length of O'Malley. And he was able to go out there and just, obviously with the threat of the takedown, just not give up, not be deterred, not stray away from his game plan that got him, what got him to the dance initially. So, again, it was a steep mountain to climb. I just thought people were overlooking MERAB. I think you got to give MERAB his credit at this point in time, man. I mean, if you're gonna go out there and beat someone like O'Malley twice, you go out there, you beat Cejudo, you beat Jan. People forget about that before, man. 50-45 in the Apex, 50-45 Jan. Well, Jan could honestly be the best guy in this division that, with the performance that he's put together especially against Davison. He hasn't fought Corey, but that fight's coming up soon. just the resume that he's been able to put together, man. It's super underrated, and he deserves all the credit in the world. I can make a whole video just talking about MERAB. MERAB is the only reason why I'm sitting here tuned in for this card, because that guy is just amazing. I remember the end of the first round. If you can go back and tune into it, I can't put clips in, but the end of that first round, he was like kind of, I think it was the end of the second round. Slightly back and forth, closer round, razor thin round. Couldn't necessarily get the takedown. Good defense by Sean O'Malley, and he just crashes out. He starts throwing, spinning back fists. He starts, throwing in a kick in there, throwing that variety, and edges out the round. I mean, that's stuff that you want to see when they raise their close round. Add that final exclamation point to the round so that you know for sure that you win it. And that, I still saw some people online give it to Sean O'Malley, but that's a clear MERAB round after that. So just the evolution of this guy's game. He keeps getting better. He's such an exciting guy. He talks well on the mic. I can't, the discussions of him being boring, I don't want to hear it anymore. This guy honestly has the potential to be a bona fide star, repping Georgia. It's amazing to see. I'm so excited. You can hear the excitement in my voice, man. I really like MERAB. I love Aljo, all the guys in that camp. So, again, shout out to them. No shade towards O'Malley. I mean, this is more of a MERAB support watch than a O'Malley hate watch. I'm not the biggest fan of O'Malley though, but shout out to him though. He's done great things for the sport. Brought people casuals in, especially with that knockout of Aljo. Sad to see from me, honestly. 292. That's a night I will never forget. But again, MERAB got his get back for his buddy twice now. So again, now we get to see the MERAB. Honestly, at this rate, I think a quick little concise video is probably going to do it. I'll just talk about the main event. Not that there wasn't good stuff on the rest of the card, but I think this will do, honestly. But talking about a future matchup with MERAB and Corey, I think it's a really good fight, man. Corey presents a little more danger than a guy like, for example, Sean O'Malley. He's gonna have maybe not the knockout threat, but because I do feel like his striking has regressed. I feel like there was a point in time where I thought he was one of the more elite strikers in the UFC. Now I don't really view him in that same light, so maybe less of a threat there. But he's still one of the more smarter fighters in the UFC. Super good IQ. Probably been studying MERAB's game, inside and out. But yeah, I just think that wrestling is going to be super tough. I think that pace is going to be something to really look out for if you're Corey. I think just the improved striking of MERAB is going to be really interesting to see how he deals with that. But yeah, Corey's going to definitely be his toughest test to date. We'll see how MERAB cracks that puzzle. We'll see how Corey prepares for it. But yeah, it was as good as he did in that Umar fight. He still did lose, kind of getting outstruck on the feet. So it's good takedown defense. But MERAB has shown that he's not just someone who can just get relegated to being a striker and just lose that type of fight. He can also win on the feet, break you down there. Now that we've seen what he did against Sean O'Malley, one of the more prolific strikers in the UFC to this date, Corey has fallen a little step behind that. So again, I got MERAB in that fight. If I was going to line that fight, I'd probably line a little bit closer just to give respect to what Corey has done. I think he's, again, one of the more dangerous matches, but you got to favor MERAB. MERAB probably by decision. I'll probably say like minus 175. But yeah, that's an excellent fight. Just keep feeding MERAB, man. I think they got to get behind this guy. I think the day of the American champion might be over. I know there's some good American guys, but a lot of our guys that are, obviously coming from America are just not passing the test. A lot of these prospects, they're just not doing it for me, man. Bo Nickel, Joe Pyfer, even this boy performance today. You do have Kayla Harrison though, so I'm not gonna completely fall off the hill. Kayla Harrison doing great things for the sport, but yeah, man. That's all I got for the video, man. Shout out to MERAB. Shout out to, Markel Medeiros. Shout out to, who else was on the card? Azamat Mirzakhanov. Shout out to Joshua Van. Beautiful performance against Bruno Silva. Broke him down, then knocked him out. Shout out to Kevin Holland. I caught the tail end of that fight. I saw the finish, obviously. And then, definitely not shout out to Joe Pyfer. Shout out to Kayla Harrison. And then I think that's it for my shout-outs. I don't know. Oh, and shout-out to Wang Kong and Aryan Lipski. Is it Aryan Lipski dos Santos, something like that. But, yeah, great night of cards. Great night of fights. And that's all I got for y'all today, man. Like and subscribe if y'all want more high-energy videos, better commentary. My voice is, kind of gone. This is not even how I usually talk, but I'm excited for the future of the UFC. I think this is not a bad outcome. I think a lot of people are getting wrapped up in the death of the UFC, blah blah blah. We're lacking stars, bro. They just need to. You got to focus on these type of guys now. DDP, MERAB, these are going to be your type of stars, and you just got to live with them, man. Hamza, maybe potentially. the day of the striker being no, I think you just got to be honest, and this is what the UFC has become. Let's push this product. It's not completely bad, man. I think we saw what MERAB can do, Not everybody may like it, but I think, it's just like a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in the NBA. He's a bit of a foul baiter. He does stuff like that. But you still push him because he can still go out there and drop 40, only dropping 4 free throws, and that's what MERAB did tonight. So you push him to the fans, and you gotta treat him like he's a champ, just like somebody else. You don't force it into the hands of somebody like Anthony Edwards on Timberwolves. The guy who's a little bit inconsistent. That could be someone like Sean O'Malley in this spot. A little bit inconsistent. They're trying to feed him to be this star role they're just not ready for. We shouldn't really even be here. He didn't deserve to be in this role. He should have been fighting somebody like Corey Sandhagen, fighting downwards to earn this spot in a championship bout. But instead, you just throw him back in there. Now he's 0-2 against someone who's probably going to be a dominant champion. And, it is what it is. They went pretty far with this whole Sean O'Malley experiment, Got the robbery win over Jan. Then he gets that kind of fluke victory over Aljamain Sterling. To me, that was a fluke because I feel like 9 times out of 10, Aljo gets that back and subs him. You saw what happened today with MERAB. So, again, shout out to Sean, though. No hate. No, nothing like that. It's all love. It's all peace. I don't want to make this a negative video. It's shout out to MERAB all day. That's all I got for y'all today, man. MERAB Nation, Georgia Nation, shout out to all y'all people out there. Y'all doing your thing. Shout out to all the people in Aljo, Ray Longo's camp. All those people, Aljo, MERAB. All that, man. That's all I really got for y'all today. Leave it like a 3, subscribe. Peace out, most guard. You know what it is.